Good morning, guys. I hope the test went well for you this week. Remember, you do have homework that is also due today. We have completed chapters 1 through 8 of our book. Chapter 8 was one of those that was designed to start moving us more towards the business side. Everything we have done, yes, applies to business, but you could apply it more to your personal life. That's how most people see it. So this chapter is on business technologies. A lot of what we cover here will also apply to your personal life. By the time we're finished, we'll get through computer hardware and storage, software, computer system support, e-business, which is constantly growing, and wireless communications. So today is computer hardware and storage. By the time we're done, you'll be able to figure out the cost of buying and leasing the computer hardware. Yes, some people really do lease computers. And then you'll also be able to calculate the costs and capacities of data storage. Vocab-wise, you have computer hardware. Remember, this is anything that you can feel, you can touch. You drop it on the ground, it'll break. So you have your computer, your screens, your printers, scanners, any sort of storage devices, cables, things like that. You also have your storage media. Remember, this is where you can save your items. Anything from floppy disk in the past to the cloud that we're starting to see more and more of. Also jump drives, zip drives, things like that. Do not forget this also includes your computer storage area, your hard disk. Remember, all storage is measured in bytes. This is building on what we did a few chapters ago. If you check out page 389 in your textbook, there's a little yellow box that says math tip. It will remind you, for example, 1 kilobyte is 1,000 bytes. So when you're buying computer hardware, you have to keep in mind the hardware itself is a very extensive list. It is always growing with the changes of technologies that are being made. When you see handheld computers, think about tablets, and some people would even say laptops fall in there, or notebook computers. Kind of depends on the person. But this list is not all inclusive. There are things that are missing. Remember, it includes any large systems, your servers, cables, printers, scanners, screens, storage areas. When you do buy these things, and you do keep this into consideration for yourself, for businesses, you keep it more in the front of your mind just because of the cost. You want to keep in mind the purchasing price. So how much is it for that one item? Then, well, do you have to pay somebody to come and install it? Maybe you have your own technology professionals in your business and they would install it for you. But then you have to also pay extra for the time that they're in there. You might also have special needs, especially if it's an older building. You might have to reinforce the flooring. You have any electrical wiring you might have to update, cables, air conditioning. People question why air conditioning. When you have a computer server area, it's usually stored in a large room. Sometimes it's the size of our classrooms that we have here. Sometimes it's a little bit smaller. As technology improves, it is smaller, but that produces extra heat. As you guys know, with most anything, if it gets overheated, it causes internal damage. It might even completely shut down. The air conditioning is just to keep it cool enough to keep running appropriately. You also have miscellaneous costs, which would be any extended warranties that you might purchase, maintenance and repairs, and then your virus protection and firewalls. Plus, you also have backup systems. Remember, backup systems might be a server, it might be storage devices, it might be hard copies that you've printed off. Alright, so now we're actually going to figure out how to do these. This is real easy, a matter of multiplying and adding. Anytime you need to pause this video, and I would suggest you do that so that way you can read through the entire problem, you can figure it, and then you can come back on and check your answer. I only have 15 minutes with this program that I'm using to get through all of this. So here we go. You have 25 systems at $16.89, 25 network cards at $75, cabling at $625, 2 other network devices at $96.88 and a printer for $55.98. Cost of installing is going to be $11,890 for just the installation fees. So make sure you read through this. This is asking for the total cost of the hardware. You have 25 systems, 25 network cards. If you add the $16.89 and the $75, then multiply by 25, that's fine. Or you can do 25 times $16.89, which would be $42,225. 25 times 75, which is $18.75. Then you have 2 devices at $96.88. Multiply the 2 and $96.88. That gives you $193.76. So you've already done all the multiplying. Now you do all the adding. So $42,225 for the cost of the computers, $18.75 for the cost of the cards, $193.76 for the other devices, plus you have your other fees in there, which would be the network cabling, so plus a $625, plus $55.98 for the printer, plus the installation fees of $11,890. So by the time you get through all that, you're spending $69,406.76 to install this hardware. Another example, make sure you pause it, work through the problem first. Now your answer, $38,604.64. Last example here, you should come up with $38.84. So leasing, some people do prefer to lease instead of buy. It does reduce the large amounts of spending that you need to do at one time. However, over several years, it may end up costing more than buying. Think back to when we were talking about leasing a vehicle. You had to pay for maintenance and fees. Well, here you're going to have to make sure that your antivirus is constantly updated. If you would happen to have any issues, you would have to pay to get those fixed also. Payment wise, these are real easy to figure. You just need to read very carefully. In this case, 35 computers. Each computer is $38.89 per month for 3 years. We're asking for the total of the lease, 35 computers times $38.89 times 36 months, and you end up spending $49,001.40. Might also have some like this. They ask total cost of leasing one notebook. If you figured it, you should have came up with $2,008.29.24. Then it also asks for the cost for all the notebooks, which would be $84,877.20. Storage devices. Remember, you do have removable storage options. You guys know what they are. We're not going to go clear through them. And the list is on here. Remember, this is constantly changing as technology changes. It is a common business activity to back up your information. That way your data does not get lost. And that way you can access it again. If we would lose everything in PowerSchool, that would really, really stink. However, we do have backup systems in place for that, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Alright, here we go. So computer storage, remember, is measured in bytes. 1,000 bytes is a kilobyte. A million is a megabyte. Billions a gig. Trillions a terabyte. Remember page 389 in your book. It has that little yellow box reminding you of those things. To figure these, if you have 1 megabyte, you need to convert it into gigabytes. 1 meg divided by 1,000 equals 0.001 gigs. Then 1 meg times 1,000 will make it into kilobytes, which would be 1,000 kilobytes. Please do not forget that. Look on page 389. They go into more depth on that for you. Just remember, if you're moving up to the next higher capacity, you divide the lower one by 1,000. And if you're going to a lower one from the higher, take the higher number times 1,000. Once again, look at page 389 on your book. So to figure these, you do have this chart. It's on page 390. It's purple color. These are not too hard to figure. All you have to do, in this case, we have 4 terabytes of data. We do not change this data too often according to the problem, so you're going to save it on DVD disk. They're a 4.7 gigabyte disk. Each one's $1. So how many do you need? How much is it going to cost? So easiest way to do it. Take your gigs, put them into terabytes. So 4.7 divided by 1,000, that gets you 0.0047 terabytes. Take your 4 terabytes of information, divide it by your 0.0047, and you come up with 851.1 approximately. Well, you can't have 0.1 of a disk, so no matter what the number is on the decimal, you have to round up, because you will have information that you still need to keep. That 0.1 part, you have to have that information. So you have to round up. So in this case, you'll need 852 disk. Well, the problem also asks for what's the total cost. Well, each one's $1. So 852 times 1, as you know, is 852. Some more practice here. Please pause it. Go ahead and figure this. Once you're done figuring it, go ahead and check it then. So 6 gigabytes times 1,000 to get it up into megabytes. So 6,000 megabytes divided by 250 for the amount that you can store on your zip disk. And that ends up being 24 disk. 24 times 1289 makes your cost at $309.36. Final practice, remember pause it, practice first, and then check your answer. So here we have 1,367 1.44 disc that are full. We're going to change them into CDs. So you're going to take your 1367 times 1.44 to get your total megs. And that ends up being 1968.48 megs. You're going to take that, divide by 700, because that's how much we can hold on our CD. So you'll need 2.812 approximately CDs. Obviously, we can't have a 0.812 CD. You still need that information. Round it up to 3. Each one is 81 cents. So 3 times 81 cents is $2.43. Plus, you also have a $65 fee for getting your CD reader and writer on one of the desktops. So add your 65 into your $2.43. Your total cost is $67.43. If you got stuck on any of these, please go back and double check the examples in your textbook. It is section 9.1, which starts on page 386. Remember to check out the math tip on 389. Check out the table on 390. Your homework today is 127 through 128. That will be due on Thursday next week. Do not forget to turn in your homework that is due today. Enjoy your Thursday, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.